Saturday's fight card from the Co-op Arena in Manchester, the Magnificent Seven, was an interesting card because we saw a great deal of boxing, that there were upsets, there were knockouts, there were performances that we just didn't expect. And such was the case when we had a chance to see Willie Hutchinson take on Ezra Taylor. These two had gone back and forth during the promotion of this event, and they didn't show much love for one another. But one thing you can bet on was that this was going to be a competitive fight. And that's what they showed us, a competitive spirit. Let's talk about this fight, the outcome, and what could be on the horizon, because it was quite surprising for all involved. The Magnificent Seven. What a card. There were so many fights on this card that made the evening enjoyable. And there were a lot of knockouts, people. And I may end up covering each and every one that was featured. But this video, we're going to talk about Willie Hutchinson and Ezra Taylor, light heavyweights who out of the UK are very familiar with one another. And maybe internationally, these guys aren't known, but they were good enough to have opposing styles that meshed, and it came down to who wanted it most. And going in, the fight was really a flip-em fight, but the sentiment was Taylor and his athleticism would be what would prevail. But that wasn't the case at all, because what ended up happening was that Willie Hutchinson rose to the occasion, and he did it with a wonderful display of boxing, hit, not get hit, in and out, side to side, lateral movement, and guile. He fought like a cutie, but a cutie with courage and conviction. I believe that Taylor was befuddled during this situation. It was kind of a thing that kept him a little bit off guard. So the fight ended up being a unanimous decision for the WBO Global Light Heavyweight vacant title. Scorecards of 98-92 by 2 judges and 99-91. It really showed how much Hutchinson prevailed here. Now, when Taylor fought his last fight in October of 2025, it was a victory over Steve Woodall. But he hadn't been in there with the type of fighters that Hutchinson has been in there with. Hutchinson's last 3 fights were against, going back, October of 2025 as well, Mark Jeffers, then a September bout where he dropped a split decision to Joshua Buatsi, and then going back to June of 2024 against Craig Richards, where he won a unanimous decision, and I believe that was on a Riyadh card. Hutchinson has been in a situation where he has risen to the occasion. His fight against Joshua Buatsi was very close. The split decision doesn't speak on how close that fight was, because Buatsi couldn't solve some of the issues that Hutchinson presented to him in the depths of their fight. But I do believe that Hutchinson got a little bit tired in that fight, because he boxed very well, but he seemed to run out of steam. As I watch Hutchinson over the past couple of years, he has turned into a fighter that is definitely someone who could be a spoiler. And you just cannot overlook this man. And I do believe that Taylor was overlooking him. The Hutch train, as his alias calls him, is from Carstairs, Scotland. And he's as tough as nails. He doesn't have the greatest punching power, but he can hurt you. His record now stands at 20 wins, 2 losses with 14 KOs. He has been in a position now at the age of 27 to fight more globally. And I do believe it's going to happen for him. All they have to do is continue to match him well. But this is a man, again, he can make almost any fighter in the division look bad. I like fighters like Willie Hutchinson because they're spirited. Taylor had a feeling that he could win this fight just by showing up, I believe. And that was a gross miscalculation, because Taylor, whose record now drops to 13 wins, 1 loss, and 9 KOs, they call him the Cannon, but he never unleashed the cannon in this fight. He's from Nottingham in the UK, and he should have been able to do more in this fight. Even though he's a bit older at 31, he should have gone in there and really tried to go for broke. When they announced the decision, he kind of paced around the ring with a kind of disgruntled look on his face. But he was in charge of that. He could have done more. He could have really tried to go for broke against Hutchinson, but he didn't do that. And see, sometimes these fighters, their trainers do not crack the whip on them. And that's not to be derogatory. I'm just using it as a statement of the seriousness of how to press the fighter into doing what he needs to do to be successful. And that's what was missing here. Hutchinson's, he ran into a situation where he got comfortable, and Taylor didn't make an adjustment to take the comfortability away from him. And so he ended up dropping this decision. If he goes back and watches the tapes of himself, he'll recognize how much more he could have done to be successful. So as we have it, Hutchinson wins unanimous decision. It was a pretty darn good fight. Again, highly entertaining. This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are about the fight. What do you think of Ezra Taylor, Willie Hutchinson? And what would you like to see next from both men? Leave comments and let's discuss further. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.